What is going on, guys? DBG here, and today we are going to be talking about something kind of interesting. So today's video is going to be my almost monthly kind of reoccurrence of the why are these cards so expensive series, where we talk about some of the worst value cards in NBA 2K21 MyTEAM. Lads, this is a video that's going to annoy people, and if your argument to any of these points are either I don't agree with you so you're wrong, or this player is my favorite player in real life so I don't regret buying them, that is fine. I'm not telling you guys you should regret them. For example, if your favorite player's highest overall card is on this list, that doesn't mean you shouldn't use them. If your favorite player in real life, that's the reason why a lot of these guys are so expensive. It's the reason why they are. So, look, that's the big reason, because a lot of these guys do have the high player tax. I understand it, but the big thing with me, for most of these, are these guys have like tactical downgrade versions, and some of them are just horrendous value. If that's your argument, that is perfectly fine. But at the end of the day, whether you like a player in real life does not determine the card's how good the card is in game. I mean, it definitely helps in terms of enjoyment. Like, for example, I would rather use a Boris Diaw is one of my favorite players ever. I would rather use a Boris Diaw than a no-name player. But at the same time, that doesn't mean Boris Diaw is the best point guard in the game. So that's just my kind of thing about it. I am talking from this purely from a neutral perspective and only judging them based on their cards. Because I know a lot of people that are fans of these guys in real life are going to get angry. But it's the truth. It's the truth. So, first of all, we're going straight into some of the worst value cards in the game, the Invincible set. But for me, the number one is Tim Duncan. Actually, maybe. Because he's over he ends up going for $500,000 most of the time. He's not very good. Like, I know I accidentally clamped right there, but like, is Duncan that much better at power forward than Millsap? I don't know. Is he better than Ferry? No. Is he better than Kukoc on next gen? No. Heck, I'm gonna make the argument that on next gen he's not even that much better than Pokashevsky, if better at all. He's fine. He's usable. He's a decent player. But he's not worth $500,000. You could buy an entire team of players that Duncan wouldn't even make. And Duncan wouldn't even make the team for cheaper than Duncan himself. So yeah, unless you are the biggest Duncan fan, if you are the biggest Duncan fan, the biggest Spurs fan, you just want to use a Tim Duncan card, be my guest. But unless that describes you, and you are buying Duncan because you think he's an invincible 99 overall card, he's going to be really good, and he's one of the cheaper big men at that position, you're going to be very, very disappointed because he is very, very average in this game. Then we've got obviously the worst overall of all these invincible cards, Allen Iverson, and it's just a pity. It's just a pity. Like, 2K can make smaller players better by making smaller players accelerate faster, but in reality, smaller players actually accelerate slower than taller players. So, like, if you're on either gen, on defense, smaller players can't play defense on either gen. Like, Allen Iverson, if you guys don't know, there is an Allen Iverson card right here. And this is one thing that's a big problem with Iverson. So, if you're comparing him to this Allen Iverson right here, like, if you're looking, obviously, I'm not going to say there's not a huge difference, because there is a huge difference between these two Allen Iverson cards. But in speed, there's only a one difference. The Allen Iverson on the right, with 98 speed, 98 speed ball, 98 acceleration, is in fact slower while running the full length of the court, and also slower accelerating with the ball than 68 speed, 58 speed ball Yao Ming on next gen. On current gen, he is still not fast at all with the ball. But he's super fast without the ball. But small players, they're just borderline worthless. If you're an Iverson fan, I'm gonna say it, like, obviously, the Iverson on the left is better than the Iverson on the right. But Iverson's player model is so bad that you're not going to notice much of a difference. And you guys, again, might call me crazy. They're both going to suck. Like, neither of them are going to be good. They're both going to feel slow. They're both going to feel bad on defense. They're both going to hit wide open shots. Like, for me, you are not going to notice the difference between these two Allen Iversons in-game. So, for me, like, it's one of the worst value players in my team. Like, Iverson, get it, hype player, should not be. And then this is a bit of a weird one. And this is only because this got of what happened on Friday. So, it's Kobe Invincible. He has to be. Like, this card's going to end at least at lowest 3 million. And yes, I understand if Kobe's your favorite player and you want the best overall version of Kobe. But that is like a very small percentage of people. For most people, Kobe's their favorite player and they want to use Kobe in-game. And that is a perfectly reasonable argument to have. Problem is that yes, it's Kobe's at 9 on every stat and basically every Hall of Fame badge. Problem is that look at this Kobe. You can get this Kobe for 100k. And if you are a massive Kobe fan and you want to use a Kobe in game, the Kobe's are so close that you will not notice the difference. You will not notice the difference. I don't care what anyone says, like, the big differences are in things like post hook. 3-pointer 96 with any coaches is still 99. Dunking is 99. 95 makes no difference. Ball handle, anything above 86 feels the same. Block rating does not matter on a 6'6 player because they're not going to block shots anyway. Steal perimeter defense, 90, 95. You're not going to notice the difference because he has all the key badges. Speed, 95 versus 99 on his best card literally makes no difference. Because again, if you guys are telling me that a that speed makes a difference, watch my speed test video. The speed stats don't mean anything. Like, you actually have to test out a player whether they run fast or not. And when people, I've heard a load of people say, oh, this card feels faster than he should at this speed. I thought it was placebo. No, it's a real thing. Is that like two players can have the exact same speed stats, but if they have different running styles, they will feel different speed. And also, if you give Bol a +5 speed shoe, and Bol without a +5 speed shoe, his speed is literally millisecond exact same. Speed stats don't mean anything in game. After the speed patch they brought in, the actual speed, like to an extent, like a 50 speed player is going to run slower than a 99 speed player. But like the difference between 90 and 99 means nothing. Lateral quickness, again, 97 versus 99, the other card. It's another stat that means nothing. Players' animations mean more than lateral quickness. It's another stat it actually does not. In my team, maybe it does something in Pro-Am, but in my team on the sliders we're on, it actually doesn't do anything. And he's got every single key badge in Hall of Fame. You are not going to notice the difference between the Kobe's. If you're a huge Kobe fan, get this Kobe. Save your 3 million MT. So, that's the first three. Next, we've got an entire set, and it's the entire season of giving set. Like, why are these cards so expensive? I get it, they're rare. But, like, some of these guys have all gone up like 3,000-4,000 MT. I saw my Mo Williams for like 9k MT a couple of days, or yesterday. And it's all because of an XP challenge. For winning a game with all these gets you 2,500 XP. But like, you can get 3,000 XP for like 5 minutes worth of like other challenges, or for like 10 minutes worth of other challenges. It's like a slow 2,500 XP. It's just not worth it. It's a dumb decision buying some of these players, and all these guys are overpriced. Heck, freaking Walt Frazier's extinct. Walt Frazier is I don't think I've ever seen him for a buyout. Like, the rest of these guys, I'm pretty sure you can get for buyout because they've come out in different scenarios. Some of them came out free at Christmas in the Christmas code. But like literally, like, who the hell is paying 34k for a Bob Pettit? He sucks. He's got like 40 lateral quickness, and I get it. Like I said, lateral quickness means nothing, but 40 is 40. Like 40 is 40. If it was in the 70s, I would say that's fine, but 40 is 40. Season of giving set completely. And then we've actually got two of the exact same player. First of all, this whole idol set, man, they're all pretty bad price, but Yao Ming's actually not the worst in price. It's Anthony Davis is pretty bad. Like, you're looking at AD, and I was looking at his price. Like, he's around the 56k MT, 50k. Actually, 45k. I used 50k when I was looking. You might say, oh, that's a little bit different than Yao, but at least with Yao, again, there's a lot of big Yao Ming fans out there, and this is the best version of Yao Ming we have right now. For Anthony Davis, whether it's the Idols card or whether it's the fan favorites card, that's over 200k. I personally think both of these guys are some of the worst value cards in the game. Because of this card right here. Gladiator 80. Gladiator 80 is way better than the Idols 80. And especially on next gen is comparable to the other 80. There's very little difference between this Anthony Davis and the fan favorites one. And this card here is less than 10k. Alright, let's just take a look at this one. So, here's an AD off rip. I think 49 is AD off rip. Let's just say this card right here is going to end up at 190k. And if you compare the Anthony Davises to each other, one of them's 190k, one of them is 10k. So basically, one is 5% of the price of the other one. Yes, there's a 16 difference in Hoff badges. But if you're looking at the key Hoff badges, the key ones, like Brick Wall, does it help? Yes. Is there any difference between gold and Hoff Brick Wall in my team setting? No. Drop Stepper, gold versus Hall of Fame, irrelevant in my team. Putback Boss, all the badges basically are on gold. Most of them are on gold. They're almost irrelevant, a lot of these. Like Heart Crusher, he has the key ones. Like he has Intimidator, Clamps, like Range Extender. Like yeah, Deep Hooks kind of matters if you're on next. Deep Hooks doesn't matter at all actually. They patched the post hook. Like the only real difference, the only real key badge is the I'm gonna say the real key badge is Showtime / Posterizer. So he's only got that on Hall of Fame, he's only got it on gold, the cheap Anthony Davis, whereas you've got it on Hall of Fame, the other one. But even if you're looking at stats, a 96 with a 93 ball, like again with coaches, floor general, and it makes no difference. Like if you can notice the difference between a 99 and a 97.3, fair play to you. Post hook again doesn't really matter because no one's going into the post. And then other things like mid range, 96, 93, you're not going to notice the difference. Dunk 90, 95, you're not going to notice the difference. The big thing is though, the block rating of 97, again, it doesn't make enough of a difference because AD's ratings are high enough that he will trigger all the good animations. Because he's got still got the block animations, he's got all the shot blocking badges. The rating is the least important thing in that. And then again, speed, 3 difference. Literally, these cards run at the exact same speed. 95 to 84 lateral quick, 94 to 85 lateral quicks. That makes a little bit of a difference, but not much of a difference. I'm telling you, I've used both of these Anthony Davis cards and they feel the exact same. And there's not even a debate with the Idols one. Both of these cards are 100 times better than the Idols one. These cards, for me though, from using them, feel the exact same. And one of them is 5% of the price. Like, that's why Fan Favorites AD is down. He's one of the worst value players. Then we're going to look at the Idol set again. And I mean, mainly because I don't think, not that he's a bad lock-in per se. I think he's good value lock-in because again, it's like 450k for Ralph Sampson, who's fine. Like even with he's one more underrated cards, but still. Like you've got Melo. Like you've got Carmelo Anthony here, who's like 160, 170k. And again, obviously I know it's because he's a lock-in, and I know he's a big name, but like, just use this Melo. Like yeah, Dark Matter Melo is better. But they both have their releases on quick and not very quick. They both have got steady. Just use this Melo. If you're a huge Melo fan, you're not gonna notice that much of a difference between this Melo and the other Melo. Like I've used both the Melos. I think they're both. I don't think either of them are good, but like, I don't think this Melo is that much worse than the Dark Matter one. This one's like 20k. I wouldn't advise you to use Melo anyway, but if you are, this one's definitely the one to go for. And then Westbrook, like Westbrook is about 150-ish K. And he was a freaking locker code last season. Like I get it. Obviously you had to evo him up. I got it. Where is he? Oh, he was Moments Rewards. Where's Moments? Like, I get it. You had to evo him up and I didn't evo him up. But it took about 5 or 6 hours. But like, you could do it. You could get the card, like. It's not the hardest thing in the world. It's not the most difficult thing in the world to do. Rather than spending 100k. But like, they literally gave him free. And even if you get him to like a second highest tier, which is still 10 triple doubles off, like it's still Westbrook. He's still not going to be good in game. So he's just a ridiculous price. He's just a ridiculous price. Okay, so now we are on to our last two. And it's the two most obvious ones. It's the two that have popped up in every single one of these videos. It's Michael Jordan. Like Michael Jordan, one of them just ended, and it was at 365k. And I'm not only just talking about this Michael Jordan, the Pantheon All-Star Jordan, like, is about 150k. Like, at least the Pantheon All-Star one's not as bad value, and if you want to use a 99 overall Jordan, look, I'll give you that. But like, this Jordan's ridiculous for a freaking Phil Jackson, Colonel Sanders coach lock-in. Like, I know he's rare, but like, he literally ended at nearly 400k. Like, is he better than Enshrined Jordan? Yes. Is he enough better than Enshrined Jordan that he's the difference between paying like 6,000 MT and like 400k MT? Obviously not. So yeah, for me, it's just a case of Jordan having the second most hyped player tax in the game to get. But for me, I would advise you, if you are looking for a Jordan, use the first of all, I would advise you to use the Enshrined one, because I think he's the best value. But if you are dead set on using a higher overall Michael Jordan, get this Jordan here. Like, he's not as expensive. He's not as good. He is better. He's enough better than the Enshrined Jordan that I would say he's better. I don't think he's worth it value wise, but like, if you want to use a Jordan and you're saying, you know what, I don't want to use a Diamond Jordan, I want to use a higher overall one, don't look at the Dark Matter. Just use this one. Just use this Michael Jordan. You still get your cool card out, you get your retro, you get your Galaxy Opal Glow, and you still get a pretty decent card. Not a great card, a decent card. But yeah, I think that one of the Jordans is the worst. And there's a big thing with this one card, last player right here. And it's obviously my GOAT, LeBron James. And first of all, I just don't think he's exceptional in 2K. I think he's good. Don't get me wrong, he's good. And it's a weird one because both this LeBron James, I think he genuinely goes for 500,000. I know there's 9 minutes left. He's a 500,000. And then this Michael Jordan here, or this LeBron James here. I think LeBron is definitely best at the point guard position. So I'm going to put this Jordan, this LeBron in the fan favorites, even though he is that little bit cheaper. He's only about 350, 400k. And my whole thing with LeBron is just, he's a mediocre shooter. He's got a great player build. He's decent. For me, this card's not in the top 20 players. He's around number 20 in the game. But the problem is that a small forward, power forward, if you're 5 outing, he stands in the corner. So if he's not your primary ball handler, you know what, like, you're going to struggle. But at the same time, you can use him as your primary ball handler if he's small forward, power forward. Like, my primary ball handler off the bench is Ben Simmons, and the small forward version of him, who I think personally is the most underrated card in the game. But I just think LeBron is super expensive. And the big problem is there's not a good, usable, cheap LeBron. Like, if you want to say Inferno LeBron, I think you could argue Inferno LeBron at 70k is one of the worst value players in the game. See, current Series 3 LeBron isn't usable, in my opinion. He's like the only somewhat affordable, high-rated LeBron. He's not usable. So I just don't. That's just one of the problems, and it's the reason why I put him last on the list, because he's simultaneously one of the worst. He's not one of the worst value players. Don't get me wrong. Like Iverson, Duncan. Like, there's a lot more worst value players, but the thing is, we have not got a good cheap LeBron. We've not got a good cheap LeBron. We have not got a good cheap Kevin Durant. Like, even this Quantum one. Compared to Quantum, KD is better than Inferno LeBron, but still. Unlike a Kobe, because of how great a cheap Kobe we have, and I was considering putting in Ben Simmons onto this list purely because, but he's dropped at 150k last week purely because this card exists, and they're almost the same card. But I mean, on next gen, I wouldn't use this. On next gen, they're basically the same. I wouldn't use them on current gen. But yeah, so for me, the LeBron fan favorites card, he's not a point guard. He's at 300k, has to be on this list. But at the same time, he's at the end of the list because you can legitimately make the argument there is no good cheap LeBrons. And I think LeBron is one of the very few players in the game that don't have a good cheap alternative. So that's why I was looking at Kevin Durant. I was like, I can't put him on the list for that reason. Like, Kevin Garnett's Idols card is nowhere close, and it's still expensive. So like that's why I was kind of iffy on LeBron James, and he's got to go on the list somewhere, I reckon, because of just how ridiculously expensive he is. Because again, LeBron and Jordan are the two most hyped player tax players in the game, and then like even the likes of Tracy McGrady, there are. Maybe you could argue Invincible Tracy McGrady instead of Radioactive Tracy McGrady should be in here instead. And screw it, I've mentioned LeBron. Let's just say the last spot is paying 720k for Invincible Tracy McGrady when this card here is 150k and almost the same thing. Or if you're on next gen and you want to argue that Enshrine Tracy McGrady, if you use him as a cone, is the same thing, then fair enough for a couple of thousands. But yeah, so anyway, that's pretty much it. A lot of these players again are like hyped player tax, but one of the good things is that 2K with a few sets, which is one thing that I really like, is that they've given us like a really good cheap Anthony Davis for people that are Anthony Davis fans. The Enshrine set gave us some of the biggest names of all time, and gave us cheap versions of some of the biggest names of all time, which means if you really, really want to use these guys, you can. You can find cheap versions of some of the best players to ever play the game. And I really like what 2K are doing, because for guys that don't have a lot of money, they can use some of the big names. They can use some of their favorite players of all time. So yeah, that's pretty much it. That's the video. Thank you guys for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe.